Happy Sunday, and welcome everyone to episode 24 of Video Game Club. As always, I'm Tyler, and I have with me today the only man who can run faster than Sonic himself, Austin.
Man, I wish. 7-minute mile was my record.
And joining us from the deepest, darkest depths of the internet, Mr. Robotnik's best friend, Chris.
Oh, I'm okay with that. I'd like to hang out with Robotnik for a while.
Unfortunately, Mox is unable to join today, but don't worry, we do have a prepared statement from her that we will read later, so stay tuned. As I mentioned before, this is Video Game Club, where every 2 weeks we discuss a game voted on by our wonderful friends in the Bombchu Discord, and discuss that game right here on twitch.tv/BombchuTV. If you can't catch us live, no problem. You can find us on youtube.com. Just search Bombchu. You'll find it. You'll see the thumbnails. You'll want to click. Now, before we get started, what have you been playing besides Sonic Adventure? Chris.
Oh, I'm knee deep in the Mass Effect Legendary Edition.
How's that going?
It's going great. Mass Effect 1, especially with the quality of life stuff that they've done to it, holds up pretty well. And I'm maybe 30% of the way through Mass Effect 2 right now, which is amazing.
Oh, wow.
That game is still one of my favorite games I've ever played.
Yeah, it's up there for a lot of people. Have you been playing Nier Automata at all?
I've played a little bit. I'm once I finish up the Mass Effect trilogy, this one playthrough, I'll be diving deep into Nier.
Awesome. What about you, Austin?
I have been working a bit on Death Stranding.
Ooh.
Yep. I'm in chapter 5, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
And I was told if I worked on Death Stranding that somebody else would work on Final Fantasy 15, but it sounds like that's been kind of slow going, so I don't know.
Get out of here. I have been playing Final Fantasy 15, and I just got to the big story part that happens at the beginning. I'm probably about a couple hours in, and I finished technically 2 playthroughs of Nier already, but one of them's kind of like a joke playthrough. How many playthroughs have you done so far, Austin?
Finished I got the first ending, and I'm maybe like an hour or 2 into the second playthrough.
Okay, so I'm almost caught up with you, probably.
Yeah, probably so.
Okay, nice. Yeah, so that's what we've been playing, and that's how SideQuest is going. Hopefully, everyone listening is participating in some Nier Automata, and we can talk about that later in July. As a reminder, the nominations for this episode that were suggested by Austin included Sonic Adventure, Fez, and Anodyne. Sonic Adventure was the victor, so let's jump into Sonic Adventure. Sonic Adventure is a third-person mascot platformer. Would you consider this a game that has RPG elements, Austin?
I mean, if you get into like the chow raising, sure.
Okay. I saw it listed as an RPG, and I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I would consider
it's also got
it's
got some minor open world stuff. You got to find some keys to open up some stuff.
Yeah,
some real minor RPG adjacent.
Yeah.
About as much of an RPG as Banjo-Kazooie.
Sure.
Yeah.
This was the first main Sonic game to feature 3D gameplay. It was developed by Sonic Team, published by Sega, released on the Sega Dreamcast on December 23rd, 1998 in Japan, coming a bit later to North America, coming September 9th, 1999, and a tad bit later to PAL regions, September 23rd, 1999. The game was also ported to GameCube, Windows, Xbox 360, PS3. We'll talk a little about those later. But before we do that, what was going on in 1999 in North America? Oh boy, we had some hardware. We had the Dreamcast, and this wasn't in North America, but the Game Boy Light was in Japan. Neo Geo Pocket Color. The PS2 was announced. And the software, oh baby. What a time to be alive. Donkey Kong 64, Pokemon Yellow, Age of Empires 2, Resident Evil 3, Super Smash Bros., Mario Party, both in the same month for the 64. Silent Hill, Pokemon Snap, Roller Coaster Tycoon, Driver, Pokemon Pinball, and Austin's favorite game, Pepsi Man.
Pepsi Man.
No joke, 1999. But a lot of those are bangers for sure.
That was a banner year for gaming.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There was a lot of like really solid 64 games that came out.
Well, and I remember specifically when the Dreamcast came out, how big of a deal that was at the time. $99.99.
Oh yeah.
I still remember that was the day the Dreamcast was coming.
Making its way to the States. And the engine that Sonic Adventure was developed on, from what we can tell, was some custom engine. There was a prototype that was built with the Knights engine, which we'll talk about later, but we believe it was some in-house engine. Now let's dive into a little bit of the old history. As I mentioned before, Sonic Adventure is a 3D action platform game. You control one of 6 characters as they venture to defeat Dr. Robotnik and his robot army. And Robotnik is seeking the 7 magical Chaos Emeralds. As well as, I don't know if he's seeking the evil entity Chaos, but
he has him pretty much from the start, and he's trying to find the Chaos Emeralds basically to feed to Chaos.
Yeah. There's 6 playable characters that are unlocked as the story progresses, and each one has their own story and attributes. At the start of the game, the player is placed in one of the several adventure fields. These are like open-ended hub worlds where you explore and you can discover entrances to new levels. Those new levels are called action stages. They're usually opened using keys or like other types of things that you find. And then once you are in the action stage, you are tasked with a specific objective, which is different for each character. You earn emblems in these action stages, and you can also find emblems in the adventure fields and also by winning Chow races, which we'll talk a little bit about later. Each action stage has 3 emblems that can be earned by replaying the stages and fulfilling objectives such as beating the level within a time limit. Did anyone here play like extra to like get more emblems? I did not. Well, I did by accident once actually, but
I've done it on previous playthroughs, but not this time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever, Austin, since you suggested this game, I'm just going to ask, have you ever like 100% completed this game?
I came close. I had a buddy who did, and when I did it, I think it was in the DX version, the 100% completion.
It was like 160 emblems, I think.
Yeah, you end up unlocking Metal Sonic as a playable character, and really all you can do there is just play Sonic stages, just skinned as Metal Sonic. But in the Dreamcast version, I don't think that there's actually any reward.
Okay.
For doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just kind of like stuff you can go do.
Yeah. Speaking of stuff that you can go do, some levels included mini games that were separate from the main story. These featured like different styles of gameplay, like rail shooting, racing, sandboarding. Some of these mini games can only be accessible by certain characters, and fulfilling certain objectives would allow the player to obtain some bonus items. I never got those bonus items. I don't even know what they are. There's also something called the Chow Gardens, which the game doesn't like really put in front of your face. It's kind of like you kind of discover it on your own by finding little entrances. And then you learn like, oh, this is the entrance to the Chow Garden for this character and at this part of the game, etc. But they're inhabited by something called a Chow, which is like a virtual pet. Think like a Tamagotchi kind of. You can, name it, interact with it, raise their stats by giving them small animals, which are found by defeating enemies in the game.
If you're playing on Dreamcast or GameCube, then you can transfer your Chow. There's a little station inside the Chow Garden. On the Dreamcast version, you can transfer it to the VMU, which is the Virtual Memory Unit, Visual Memory Unit, because it has a screen on it and a battery, and so you can take it with you on the go to play little mini games with your Chow. If you're playing on GameCube, then you can transfer it to Sonic Advance through the Game Boy Advance link cable, and it's a completely separate. Like, it has pretty much nothing in common with the Chow Adventure on the VMU, other than you use it to raise up your Chow's stats. But both very interesting ways of kind of taking the game with you and keeping it in mind.
Yeah. It was an interesting like piece added to this game, and we'll talk about it a bit more once we get more into the development. Let's talk about the plot really quick. I don't think it's really spoilers, but I tried to leave out some
plot.
Yeah, but just for those that are worried, I'm just gonna put the tag on. So Dr. Robotnik seeks a new way to defeat his longtime nemesis, Sonic, and conquer the world. During his research, he learns about an entity called Chaos, a creature that, thousands of years ago, helped protect the Chao and the all-powerful Master Emerald, which balances the power of the 7 Chaos Emeralds. Seeking to use Chaos, Robotnik releases it from the Master Emerald by shattering it and tests the creature's natural form on the city of Station Square. When Sonic sees local police fail to defeat it, he and Tails work to stop Robotnik from empowering it with the Chaos Emeralds. Despite Sonic disrupting Robotnik's plans, Chaos manages to absorb all the Chaos Emeralds, transforming into perfect chaos. It rebels against Robotnik, and attacks Station Square once more, devastating the city. Sonic fights perfect chaos and defeats it, returning to normal. Chaos calms down, and it sees the Chao living peacefully in Station Square. Is that pretty much the plot?
We bypassed a little bit of like why Chaos is so upset, but over general plot overview.
It's good enough for a Sonic game.
All right, and with that, we'll take the spoiler tag off. I don't even know if we'll turn it back on, to be honest. I don't know if there really are spoilers. Maybe when we talk about our...
It's a 22-year-old game, so...
Yeah, and it's not a heavy story one either. It's not like there's some big twist or anything, which I guess is kind of a spoiler. Don't expect a big twist.
Toby's asking why Chaos is so upset.
Why is he upset?
Well, that's spoilers as part of the story, but basically, you can decide if you want to put the tags on or not. But basically, throughout the game, there are points where you'll be transported back in time, and you get kind of a vision of the past that you don't really get to interact with most of the time. Like, people can't see you, but you can witness events. And it's this race, it's basically all echidnas, so it's kind of like Knuckles' ancestors, and informs like why he guards the Master Emerald.
Mm-hmm.
But at some point, I don't remember why, all of that whole race decide that they want to use the emeralds to... They're like wanting to invade or do something. They end up trampling all the Chao, which Chaos seems to like care for and guard the Chao, which they don't really get into the relationship of their names, but it's like Chao and Chaos are it's basically it's Chao with an S, and then also pronouncing it a little bit differently. But he gets enraged by that and I guess wipes out their civilization, or he gets trapped inside the Master Emerald. And the whole plan at the end of the game is to just trap him back in the Master Emerald, and Sonic comes out and it's like, no, he's just gonna still be mad in there. We gotta do something else. So that's why they get to show him like, hey, the Chao are okay, we're living peacefully. Yeah, so that's it in a nutshell. Why he's mad, why he's okay now.
There you go, Toby. You have your answer.
You just had to ask.
He asked and answered. Not answered well, but answered.
Now let's dive into the development. So, this game, so it's the 90s, right? Like, the Genesis was pretty successful. It was pretty popular, right? Sonic was super successful. Like, it was like the flagship franchise of the Genesis. And the series creator, Yuji Naka, he worked at the Sega Technical Institute in the United States, and he was developing Sonic games. Well, after the completion of Sonic & Knuckles in 1994, Naka moved to work with Sonic Team in Japan. The Sega Technical Institute, or STI, began developing Sonic Extreme for the Sega Saturn, which would have been the first Sonic the Hedgehog game to feature full 3D gameplay. However, Extreme suffered a series of setbacks and was cancelled in 1997. Meanwhile, though, Naka and the Sonic Team developed original Saturn games such as Nights into Dreams, which there's like a little Easter egg at the casino level for Nights into Dreams, right, Austin? When you go through
yeah, one of the slot areas is based around Nights into Dreams, and if you go to the right spots in there, you get to kind of fly through that world, which is cool.
So Naka still wanted to make a 3D Sonic game and felt that only Sonic Team should do it. And for this reason, he refused to let STI use the Nights game engine for Extreme, a factor in that game's cancellation. In August 1996, the Nights into Dreams designer, Takashi Iizuka, proposed a role-playing style Sonic game with a greater emphasis on storytelling, which formed the basis of Sonic Adventure. Iizuka felt that Sonic fans had been let down because the team was not focusing on the series. And additionally, they got an art director named Kazuyuki Hoshino, and he said that he thought that the Saturn era Sonic had become outdated, and he wanted to reinvent the character. So Sonic Team started working on Sonic Adventure in April of 1997 on the Saturn with a 20-person team. They created the first prototype using the Nights engine, but the Saturn's limited capabilities made development difficult. So the Sega president at the time informed Naka of the Saturn's successor, the Dreamcast, and he believed that this new console would allow Sonic Team to create the ultimate Sonic game. When the team learned that the Dreamcast was nearing completion, they moved development to take advantage of the greater quantity of RAM, stronger CPU, and the VMU. Not wanting to waste their completed work, though, they placed the prototype they were working on, they placed it as a bonus in the compilation game Sonic Jam, which was the final Sonic game for the Saturn, and the prototype was released as Sonic World. Did anyone play Sonic Jam, or own Sonic Jam, or have a Saturn, or play it? Anything?
No.
Yeah, same.
I have a buddy who had a Saturn. He had like every obscure system ever, and he owned it. I got to take a little glimpse of it at one point, but that was a long time ago.
Okay.
Yeah, I had friends who had a Dreamcast, but I didn't know anybody that had a Saturn.
Yeah, same. So, being one of the largest video games created at the time, the team had grown to 60 after 10 months. They were like developing the game while the Dreamcast was also being developed still, which is kind of crazy to think about. And they aimed to release the game December 1998, even if it meant making improvements after release. Now, how can they make improvements after release for the Dreamcast?
It's connected to the internet.
The internet. The web. Which, it's kind of crazy that, like Sega started that whole we'll do some updates later. And now it's like a standard practice in the industry. Like, you buy a game at launch, if you don't have internet, you put that in, it's almost always broken. So it's kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah.
So because they were working, like they were gonna, it's gonna be a launch title on the Dreamcast, they were able to give some influence over the console's development, actually. For example, requesting more RAM, specifically for Sonic Adventure. So you can thank the Sonic team why the Dreamcast has a little bit more RAM. So, and also because it was a launch game, they wanted to, of course, demonstrate the console's capabilities with the realistic graphics. To achieve a more realistic feel for the environments, this is really cool. The core members of the Sonic team visited temples, jungles, and ancient ruins in Mesoamerican landscapes such as Cancun, Guatemala, Peru. And while the Sonic team members had to draw artwork by hand for games in the past, for Sonic Adventure, they were able to use photographs taken during their visits as textures. So some of those textures were like pictures that they took while looking at these locations.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
For the time when you kind of don't know what you're doing, that's not a bad idea. Not a bad way to go.
So Iizuka wanted to include as much content as possible in this game, and one addition that he was really excited about is the Chow raising system. They actually had a similar virtual pet system called the A-Life in Nights into Dreams, and that was the base for the Chow raising system as well. Little fun fact for you. And of course, Iizuka hoped that it would help reach more players, like casual gamers, because this is like something that they could do if they weren't really into Sonic. They could at least like raise these chows, and he also hoped that it would add replay value to the game as well. It took a lot of time to finalize the chow system because they want it to be as simple as possible. So then we get into the the voice acting stuff and the localization, which is really interesting. So while some Sonic games, such as the 1993 Sonic CD, contain limited voice work, Sonic Adventure was the first Sonic game to feature extensive voice acting. The decision was made early in development as the game was more story-focused than previous Sonic games, and Sonic team staff had differing opinions about how Sonic should sound. Iizuka recalled that the only element they agreed on was to avoid using the anime voice actor, like using an anime voice actor, or favoring a film actor with an over-the-top voice. They casted Junchi Kinemaru as Sonic, and he says like the reason why he was cast is just because he can speak English. That's why he says like he was chosen in an interview, which is kind of interesting. Iizuka also used Sonic Adventure to introduce Robotnik's Japanese name, Dr. Eggman, to Western audiences, which we talked about, Austin, before. I don't know.
Yep.
And what's interesting is that, and Austin, I don't know if you knew this or you predicted it, but he accomplished this by having Sonic insult Robotnik when they meet for the first time in the game, calling him Eggman as like an insult. And we also talked about how like that's how he kind of says it as an insult. And all of the stuff is like called Eggman in the game, right? Like his ship and everything.
The egg carrier, the egg viper,
Similarly, he avoided referring to Tails as Miles, which he was commonly called in Japan. So little fun facts for you about good old Sonic Adventure.
Kind of helped to clear up the canon and everything that they had established so far, get everything unified.
Did you guys watch the TV show?
Oh yes, I watched.
Where he was voiced by Steve Urkel?
Yeah.
Or the other one, where he was also voiced by Steve Urkel.
That's no good.
I love that cartoon for how bad it is, but the Sonic Saturn, the Saturday morning cartoon, is a genuinely good cartoon.
Oh yeah.
With a great story and.
Oh yeah. Totally.
They've also got all the Archie comics.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Google Ken Penders if you ever want to go down a deep dive of the weird stories of the Sonic Archie comics.
Whoa, alright.
I promise you will not be disappointed by the story of Ken Penders.
Will do. So Sonic Adventure was kept a secret during production, although screenshots did leak in 1998. But the plans for 3D Sonic were rumored for a very, very long time. They eventually revealed the game on August 22nd, 1998 at the Tokyo International Forum, which I assume is similar, like maybe it was a past name of Tokyo Game Show, because it's around the same time, late August. Anyway, so it was released in Japan on December 23rd, 1998. The Japanese version shipped with many glitches, and this was because it was produced on a very, very tight schedule. And so the Sonic team didn't have time to fix them. Several members of the Sonic team flew to Sega of America to establish Sonic Team USA, and they patched and translated the game. And it was going to be a launch title in North America and Europe for the Dreamcast. The game does include Japanese and English language audio tracks, as well as Japanese, English, Spanish, French, and German subtitles. It had some online features, including child daycare and DLC such as minigames and new level assets, which were also added. And the localized version came to Japan later as Sonic Adventure International. I don't know anybody who used these online features. Did you have a Dreamcast after, like, the online was gone, Austin?
So I had it when the online was there, but I didn't have like a way to connect it to the internet at the time.
Okay.
And by the time I played it again on Dreamcast, all the online features were gone. I have seen a little bit about them online. I know there was like some Christmas thing that you could do. Mm-hmm. I think there's unofficial ways to get them into the game, including on the PC version. Mm-hmm. But I've never actually gotten to check them out.
Yeah, but would be interesting though for sure.
Yeah.
The game sold more than 2.5 million copies worldwide, which is 500,000 less than Banjo-Tooie, by the way, if you were wondering. It received 8s and 9s from critics, several comparisons to Mario 64 and Crash Bandicoot. A lot of the pros that critics mentioned were the visuals and the presentation. A lot of people just mentioned like, oh, it's so real because of the Dreamcast at the time. Audio was mixed. Some people really liked it. Some people just, it was not for them. A lot of people really liked the gameplay. The main cons were camera control and collision detection. Those were like the main things that people really didn't really like. But yeah,
if
overall,
you think the camera is bad in the version that you played, sorry, never mind. It's like it can be rough in the Dreamcast version. It gets so much worse in the later ports, including the collision detection. Like, oh my god.
Yeah. So let's talk about the future development a bit. So we had Sonic Adventure DX that came out, which was pretty identical to the original release, but it featured updated graphics, high-resolution textures, more detailed character models. They aimed at a 60 frames per second instead of 30, and it had a redesign of the Chow raising system that used the Game Boy Advance, which we talked about a bit earlier.
And I think it also pulled in the stat system from Sonic Adventure 2.
Yes.
So like in the base version, you can't see any of the Chow stats or anything like that unless you put it on the VMU.
Yeah, and you can see them just if you pick up the Chow, yeah. It includes 60 new missions and the option to unlock all 12 Sonic games released for the Game Gear, which I had no idea. It's crazy.
Yeah. The missions, by the way, are just like little subtasks, not like they're like new levels or...
So it's like additional things in the existing levels already?
Yeah, or some of them are even just like in the main area where it'll be like, oh, find the balloon. And you just go find the balloon and that mission's complete. Yeah. Some of them are more interesting, but...
Metal Sonic can also be unlocked if all emblems are collected. And yeah, that's kind of it. There was also Sonic Adventure HD, which is based on Sonic Adventure DX, and it has even more high-definition visuals. However, the DX content was like removed, and you could like purchase it as DLC, which is really
what?
Yeah, and I did that because I'm a sucker. Yeah. Oh, thank you so much for the sub, Commissar Villar. Appreciate that. Yeah, so the game and Sonic Adventure HD was also included in the Dreamcast Collection compilation in 2011. The Sonic Adventure HD version is the 360 PS3 version and also the Windows version, Austin, right?
There's two Windows versions.
Okay, so DX is the GameCube port.
Yes, and that also got ported to Windows around like a little bit later.
Okay. And then yeah, go ahead.
HD also got ported to Windows, like via Steam. But that is a different version of the game than Sonic Adventure DX Windows from earlier.
So it's possible to have.
God.
So you could have two like Windows, like they're separate versions. Those two games.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have both.
Of course you do.
Yeah.
And of course, we should definitely talk about Sonic Adventure 2 a little bit because of...
The vastly superior game.
Oh, yeah. Because of how successful Sonic Adventure was, on October 4th, 1999, Sega announced that a sequel to Sonic Adventure was in development. Now, October 4th, 1999. The game came out September 1999 to North America. So they were just like 1 month later, they're like, yep, we're making another one. Don't worry. So yeah, that's Sonic Adventure in a nutshell. Is there anything you want to add, Austin? Because I know you know a lot about Sonic Adventure. Chris, feel free as well.
No, my experience with it's more spotty because I didn't have a Dreamcast, wasn't as up to date on this kind of stuff as Austin probably.
I will add that just an interesting little tidbit to kind of build up hype for the system in the game they made a deal with Hollywood Video.
Yes, they did. Where you could rent, right?
Yeah, you could rent the system and Sonic Adventure. I want to say it was $30 or something like that to rent it for the weekend. And like this was before the system came out, so you could play this new system and this new game before it came out. And like it was cheap. It was cheap to check out. Like you had to put in a huge deposit in case you like stole the system or something like that. But you'd get that back when you return the system. And so that was how I first got to check it out. My family was a Nintendo family up until that time. So getting to
you did it. You did the Hollywood Video thing.
Oh yeah, my dad. It was my dad's idea. He knew about it and was just like, "We're gonna check this out." And we, at that point, we didn't know what memory cards were because we had always been playing on Nintendo stuff. And so after I turned it off and turned it on and realized, oh, this doesn't save my game, I left that thing on for the whole weekend and just to get as far as I could until we had to take it back. And yeah, we ended up buying the Dreamcast because of that rental.
So it worked. Promo worked.
Oh yeah.
That's such a crazy idea to think about nowadays.
Like renting.
Like, let me just spend $30 before the PlayStation 5 comes out so I can rent it for a weekend and play Uncharted 5 or whatever. Like, that's a crazy idea.
Before release. Like, I feel like those would have just been stolen.
Oh, nowadays I would imagine 100% they would.
And then
I'm sure some of them
eBay.
were, but at the same time, like, that's where the deposit comes in.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, that's just such a crazy idea and shows how much time and money they put into marketing the Dreamcast in America.
Yeah. It's unfortunate that it failed and yeah. But they did go on to make, I mean, you know, we probably wouldn't have had like Sonic Adventure 2 on GameCube and you know, they made a lot of games like on that got ported to Xbox as well. So, and you know, we have Yakuza, you know, there's all kinds of Sega stuff. So it's kind of,
and it wasn't a complete flop like the Saturn. Like the Dreamcast did well for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Piracy just became a very big problem.
Oh yeah. All right, so let's go into our personal takes. Chris, you want to start?
Oh, do I want to start? Do we want to start with a positive note or a negative note?
I'll go first then.
Okay.
We'll sit with you, Chris.
Okay.
So I should start by saying that I grew up with Sonic, especially Sonic 2. Sega Genesis was the first console that I can remember owning and playing, and I played a ton of Sonic. It was like one of my favorite games. Whenever the XBLA port of Sonic 2 got announced, I bought it instantly, and I was in college and had like $0, but I figured it out. I also played Sonic Adventure 2 Battle on GameCube before playing Sonic Adventure 1, so I just want that to be put out there before I give my little takes. And I have recently been playing the XBLA port of Sonic Adventure 2. And I also played the XBLA port of Sonic Adventure, which is called Sonic Adventure HD. And I bought the DX DLC because I'm a sucker as well. With all that being said, I really enjoyed this game. I can definitely see how this led to Sonic Adventure 2, and in my opinion, everything was improved in Sonic Adventure 2. I wasn't a big fan of the hub world, so I was glad they got rid of that. And I wasn't a big fan of the small problems that you needed to solve. I think it could be because I just played Banjo-Tooie, and I was so frustrated with that I was like, man, another one of these hub worlds where I have to do little things. Like, I was just not looking forward to it. But the thing about Sonic Adventure 2 is like it's just like nonstop, like level after level after level. Like Sonic Adventure, there's all these like pause points, and I didn't really like that. I will say that playing as the other characters on the exact same levels was really interesting, and I could see how like they got the whole dark and hero side from Sonic Adventure 2 from that. But it was really cool to like get everybody's like how they saw this, like the story play out, get everybody's like point of view of that, because it was all like there was just like little minor differences between like whichever character you picked, and I think that's on purpose. I think that's like how they interpreted that, you know. Yeah, the only thing I didn't really like was the camera angle and the cutscene. The cutscenes really, those were the cutscenes were something else. I saw Eggman's ship go down so many times, and I do not want to see that cutscene ever again. The camera, I did wrestle with it quite a bit, and it was not enjoyable. But overall, for me, I would say Sonic Adventure is like an okay game. I would give it a 6 out of 10. I personally, I would recommend people, if you're like, oh, I've never jumped into Sonic Adventure before, I would play this one before you play the second one, because I don't think you're gonna have a great experience going backwards, especially if you're not like a big Sonic fan. I would highly recommend not doing that. The one thing that I do think this game has on the second one, though, and I've given this a lot of thought, is I do think that the soundtrack is better in Sonic Adventure 1 than 2.
Yes, I convinced you.
I listened to it like a lot, the Sonic Adventure 1 soundtrack and the second soundtrack a lot, and Sonic Adventure 2 has Pumpkin Hill Zone.
Oh, I will not deny it. What a great song.
Yeah, it's good, but besides that and City Escape, Sonic Adventure has it beat.
Well, you don't like that Eggman theme from Sonic Adventure 2?
Not. I mean, I don't even remember it.
I am the Eggman.
I have the master plan.
Yeah, so that's me. Yeah, so that's what I thought about it. 6 out of 10. It's okay. Check it out. Let's do Chris, and then I'll read Mox's prepared statement.
Okay. So, I also grew up with Sonic. I had a Genesis and not a Super Nintendo growing up, so I played a lot of Sonic 2.
Sega does what Nintendo don't.
Yeah, blast processing. And so I was a big fan of Sonic, but I did not have a Dreamcast, so I missed out on playing Sonic Adventure right away. But I did play it within a year or two. And I remember at the time I was not super into it. It was kind of weird. At the time, I thought maybe it was just because I was so used to playing Sonic in 2D that 3D was just too much of a change for me. And I eventually moved on to Sonic Adventure 2 on the GameCube, which I loved that game. Especially the much improved Chow Garden system in that game. So, coming back to this game, I was not expecting much, and it still didn't deliver even on my low expectations. This game is not playable at times. I hate this game with a fiery passion. It ignites things in my soul that I didn't know were still there, just so I could have more with which to hate this game. I understand why this game has to exist. It's the first stepping stone into making Sonic a 3D game. They're still figuring stuff out. That's acceptable. I can live with that. But even the Sonic stages are just not good. It's so many times I was just flying off of tracks, missing platforming jumps because I couldn't see them coming.
Yep.
Just clipping through random bits of the environment. It was not playable. And like even when the 3D stages are well laid out enough to where you can see where you're going and stuff like that, it's still not fun. None of the other characters really brought anything interesting enough to the table for me to enjoy this formula anymore. The Knuckles stages are, I guess, one of the few good things I could say for it is the Knuckles stages in Sonic Adventure are less annoying than the Knuckles stages in Sonic Adventure 2.
Yeah.
But only by a very small margin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did not like this. I hated this whole experience. It was like pulling teeth. I was using the Mass Effect Legendary Edition that I've been playing as my reward for playing little bits of Sonic Adventure.
What would you give this on your 10-point scale, sir?
Like a -5 stars.
-5 stars.
-5 for any fans of Brian Alvarez out there in wrestling reports. -5 stars for Sonic Adventure. I will agree, however, that the music overall for Sonic Adventure is better than 2.
Yeah.
2 has better peaks.
Yeah, it's got higher highs.
It's got higher highs, but the rest of it is so not even memorable or worth mentioning. Whereas Sonic Adventure doesn't reach those same peaks, but it's got a better overall quality.
Yeah. One thing that Sonic Adventure 1 does that really bothered me was the whole light dash thing for Sonic. Do you remember that, Chris, in Sonic 2, in Adventure 2, how it's just like, press B whenever you see like a line of rings. This is like,
and
hold.
Hope it works.
Yeah, hold. Yeah, and hope it works, yeah. Hold the button, charge up. All right, now you can do it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm never going to use this.
Anything that slows Sonic down in the middle of a stage is a bad addition to a Sonic game. And Sonic Adventure is the originator of a lot of that.
I will say, slowing down to charge up the Lightspeed dash it's charging up to do a big get a lot of speed out of that.
Don't try.
It's a give and take. It's a give and take.
Trying to justify.
Trying to justify a horrible mechanic in a bad game from the 90s.
All right. So that we end on a high note, I'm gonna read Mox's prepared statement. So this is from the wonderful and amazing Amy's best friend, Mox. I've never played a Sonic game before, and I'm mad that this was. Okay, I haven't read this myself. I can just see her saying this.
You better get ready then, because it goes.
All right. I've never played a Sonic game before, and I'm mad that this was my first one because it sucked. I have seen a bunch of speedruns of Sonic games, though, so my understanding was that you are trying to go as fast as you can collecting rings on a generally linear path. Maybe it was because I had to play the PC version with mouse and keyboard, which uses arrow keys plus Q, W, A, S, and Z, X. But I found myself getting lost and losing my momentum more often than I was whizzing along the path. I died so many times because I had a hard time collecting rings. And when you take damage and you have no rings left, you die. I spent so much time wandering around because I had no idea where to go. I must have missed a tutorial because I had no idea what I was doing most of the time. I know Austin will never speak to me again if I don't finish this dumb game, but he's going to have to be patient because I can only play 30 minutes at a time before I rage quit. I'm still going to rate it because I deserve to, given how much trouble I've gone through, and I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10 because I do enjoy whizzing along when I find the path, and the story is so bad and poorly voice acted that it's entertaining. I maintain my stance that Sonic games are not my thing, and this game did nothing to change my mind. The one thing I will say for Mox is maybe try a controller. That might help.
Mouse and keyboard is probably not a good way to approach a 3D Sonic game.
That's a good start, but you still probably would have been frustrated.
Either way, using a controller, you're not having that much better of a time.
Yeah.
It's a better experience that I would not suggest.
I mean,
mouse and keyboard.
it's like removing the poop from a poop sandwich. Like you've still got some hints there, but like at least the bulk of it's gone.
Yeah, at least you're not. Yeah.
All right, Austin, leave us on a high note.
All right. So, I grew up on Nintendo. I did not really I was always jealous of Sonic. My friends who could play that. So he always had kind of this mystique to me. So having this be my first Sonic game that I got to really own and play was totally wild. And playing it at launch, like I had been playing N64 games, and the jump from N64 to this was really wild, especially having Chaos as the main enemy. Like it's this thing made of liquid. It's changing all the time. It's like amorphous and transparent. You can see its insides, and I think that was like a really unique enemy that I'm not sure if you could do on systems before that time. Getting to see him transform with each Chaos Emerald was really cool, and so like
they wanted to give him
go ahead.
They wanted to give him like blue scales.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And they
you can see in like the CG cutscenes like how much stuff they wanted to do with him.
Yeah.
But there were certain forms you didn't get to see, and it was like, oh, what would that have looked like, or what would that fight have kind of gone like? So getting to fight him over and over, like as he transforms throughout the story, I thought was really cool. And Knuckles even gets to fight like a unique form of him.
Oh yeah,
that nobody else gets to see. So like that was really interesting. I really like the hub worlds. I know that they can be confusing, but I remember at the time, like, just getting to go explore all of those and look for secrets. Because this was back at a time, like, when you didn't just have the internet to go look at everything. Mm-hmm. And it was just like you would go explore and talk to your friends, like, oh, if you go over here, like, there's a secret emblem hidden this way. Or you could find like a gold egg in the shop, but if you try to pick it up, then the shop gets locked down, so you have to like find a way to swap it like Indiana Jones to put the counterweight and things like that. So all like the secret different types of gold and silver chow that you could find were really cool. The soundtrack was so good. I remember this was the first game soundtrack I ever bought on CD, and I listened to it just all the time. And when I got old enough to drive my own car, like, I still loved the soundtrack so much that it was like, it stayed in my car for years. And I still have it. The jewel case is completely crushed because it's gone with me everywhere. But oh my god, love this soundtrack. I can't, over the years, like, pretty much once every year or two, I'll play this game just because it's like I get nostalgic for it real bad, and I know a lot of my love for it is nostalgia. And I have played almost every version of this game. I've not played the PS3 version, but I played Dreamcast, GameCube, Windows, like the original Windows version, 360, Steam, and I think that's all of them. Mm-hmm. If they put it on Switch, I'll buy it. And every time that I've played it, like, in the last several years, at the start I'm like, yes, awesome, oh my god, and then by the end of it I'm just like, wow, why do I remember liking this game? I had similar problems that you did, Chris, where I'm flying through geometry or like flying off the level, I can't see where I'm going, and lots of little problems that just kind of crop up over time. And so this time when I played, I decided I had seen a video about how awful all of the, like, how each port is based on the last port and adds new problems.
Mm-hmm. They just get worse and worse.
Yeah, it just gets worse and worse and worse. And I think the Steam version is the final port of that. So it's like, it's ported off of the 360 port.
Okay.
So I decided I was going to play the original Dreamcast version, which I hadn't played since 1999 or 2000, and just to see, like, once and for all, is it nostalgia or do I really enjoy this game and, like, this has been problems getting added in? Mm-hmm. And I had a much better time overall than I have in a while. It's not a perfect game for sure. And especially on E102, like, he still has some, I don't know if it's because of his size, or what, but he has some very weird problems staying on level geometry. Everyone else, though, I had a much better time controlling. Like, there's actually kind of a ramp up of speed instead of just instantly going pew. The camera works a lot better. The geometry works a lot better. Just a lot less glitches.
The character model looks way better, in my opinion, on the Dreamcast.
Yeah. They changed him a bit for DX, but yeah, I honestly had a really good time. I can't defend it as like an amazing game. The cutscenes are stupid. I get it. The mouth movements don't matter.
Amazing though.
Yeah, they are, and it's this weird thing where it's like, okay, if you're voicing over anime, for example, they don't let you change the mouth movements. So generally you try to match the mouth movements, mm-hmm. and you get kind of unnatural timing in the voices because of that. Yeah. And the other option is, so here they don't match the mouth movements, but they still say things really weird. So yeah. it's kind of both worlds. Sonic Adventure 2 I never really could fall in love with because they got rid of my favorite part, which was the hub worlds. I know people don't love that here. And like, there's always the little ball of light that you can use to get a hint of where you need to go next, and even with that, it's not always that helpful. But I really do love the hub worlds. I know it breaks up the action a little bit too much if you're just looking to play a Sonic game, but man, for me, just I loved getting to explore those spots. That was really, really cool for me.
So this game came after Super Mario 64, right?
Yeah.
And Super Mario 64 has like a little hub world, right? The castle.
Oh, yeah.
Would you say the castle is better than the hub world in Sonic Adventure? For you personally, not like...
For me personally, I enjoyed exploring this hub world a lot more because it was more expansive and there's more like little nooks and crannies to go and search.
Okay.
I think that Mario's hub world is more effective at directing you to where you need to go for a level. And it still has kind of some secrets to find, but
okay.
Yeah, I think I had more fun exploring in here, especially because like when you play as different characters, they all have different movements. Like Knuckles basically breaks the game and can fly wherever he wants. But like going across the bridge to Angel Island, it's like, oh, well, what if I fly under there? Oh, there's an emblem underneath there. Like, or you'll catch little glimpses of things like, I wonder what's over there, but I don't know how to get there. And you'll play as somebody else and get to find out.
I really liked how you had to like find a way how to open the casino with every character, and it was like slightly different with everyone. Mm-hmm. That was kind of... And
you get to see like the Space Chow movie poster up there.
Yeah. There's a in Sonic, this is kind of a small tangent. Sonic Adventure 2 on the Xbox Live Arcade port, there's a poster for Phantasy Star Online. I don't know if that was there in the GameCube version, but
I think
it
so,
might have been,
because Phantasy Star Online was also put on the GameCube.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So it very well may have been.
But
continue. Sorry.
Yeah, I really, really love this game. I know for sure it's not an amazing game. However, I think a lot of the hate against it today is from the ports and the problems that they've introduced, because they are significant problems. And I also don't expect anyone to go find a Dreamcast and find a copy of Sonic Adventure and buy a memory card and play this on the original hardware. I don't expect anyone to do that. But if you do, I think you'll have a much better time. And even then, you still may not love it as a game, because it's aged well, and a lot of my love comes from nostalgia, but I really, it held up for me much better. And coming back to it, I was able to really just enjoy it again. So if I ever play this again, which I'm sure I will forever play it on the Dreamcast from now on. And yeah, but acknowledging that it is not the best game in the world, and that a lot of my love for it comes from nostalgia, I'm going to give it a very solid 7 out of 10.
I think that's fair.
That's
very, very democratic of you. Because I know you want to give it a 10.
I don't want to give it a 10 at all. I'm tempted to give it an 8 just for how damn good the soundtrack is, but I will give it a 7.
All right, that is...
Toby says the Dreamcast mods for the Steam version work fairly well in his experience, so that is an option if you really want to go experience a closer version to the original. You can there's a site where you can go find mods to bring the Steam version closer to the Dreamcast.
All right, well there you go. That was Sonic Adventure. If you enjoyed hearing us discuss Sonic Adventure and want to join us for the next game, stay put, because our next regular Video Game Club game vote just ended, and it was between Beyond Two Souls, Resident Evil 5, and Mischief Makers. And it looks like it will be, drumroll, Beyond Two Souls.
Hey.
Thank you to everyone. Thank you to everyone who voted. And thank you everyone for joining. Again, just as a reminder, you can catch us here on twitch.tv/BombchuTV every 2 weeks at 2 Eastern, with our next stream being on June 6th. Or if you can't make the live session, don't worry, you can find the episode up on YouTube. Alina, thank you so much for the bits. Now before we leave, Austin, Chris, anything that people should watch out for?
We've got Humble coming up in a couple weeks.
Oh my god, no way!
Is it next week or the week after?
I think it's the week
She'll
after.
be coming around the mountain when she comes.
Yes. So, no, it's next week. Oh my god.
Oh, yes. We got Humble next week.
Hey, there we go. Anything else you want to plug? Nothing? All right.
I want to unplug my Dreamcast. Never play this again.
Did you play this on Dreamcast? Yeah.
My Dreamcast has not
so.
worked in a long time.
Austin, thank you so much for joining.
Thanks for having me.
Mox, thank you so much for your prepared statement. Chris, thank you.
Play it with a controller.
Chris, thank you for joining.
Pleasure as always.
I'm Tyler. This was Video Game Club, episode 24, Sonic Adventure, and we're out. I'd like to give a special shout out to Michael Slater, Blake Harms, and all of our patrons over on Patreon. Thank you, and thank everyone for watching.